They just didn't tell them essentially, like, yeah, those are NFTs. It's like, oh shit. I was like, they were like hating on it, like, every aspect.
Now it's suddenly a scam. You Reddit. Why you do that to us?
it's like I don't know. Like certainly we're gonna have more and more of our lives are gonna be online. More and more of our lives are gonna be like connected digitally.
Welcome, everybody, to our first podcast. This is the first episode, so we're going to start with introducing ourselves, and then we're going to jump right into the topics. My name is Paz, Patrick, or also known as Illumination on my Illuvium-only YouTube channel. I do a lot of content about this Web3 game, Illuvium, and I'm also a passionate gamer, lifelong gamer, since I think I'm 8 years old in the basement with my dad playing Super Nintendo. So I got hooked on that for life, and finally I think I found a way to bring this passion, this addiction, this gaming addiction into something productive with my YouTube channels and also with my streaming, and now with a podcast with Viper right here.
Yeah, right, guys. I think nowadays everybody knows me as a Viper. I think barely anybody calls me by my name Torben, right? So outside of that, well, I've played games my entire life. TCGs hooked me first when I was like 7-8 years old. Started competing in that literally at that time as well, like 9 and whatever, winning like junior events and so on. Been playing TCGs ever since. Then started playing a lot of online games. Became really, really good at like every game I played. It's always been like my passion, optimizing things, just figuring out these puzzles, which games are, right? It was always like figure out the solution, beat your opponent. And yeah, winning is fun. So I just kept on doing well in it, kept on winning, eventually made Hearthstone esports my job for a living, dropped out of my studying mathematics at that point, and kind of like here I am now, because I like 2022, I started to be like, okay, 2021, I was like, Hearthstone probably doesn't have the biggest future in terms of money in the industry and in that game involved anymore. So I kind of was like, okay, I'm probably going to drop out of this. 2022, I looked far deeper into a lot of Web3 gaming things, because I think in general, the technology is pretty good. I think in general, it's a lot of upsides. So that's how I came to Illuvium. And that's mainly what I'm doing nowadays. I'm on the Illuvium main council currently, Epoch, and do some content, some streaming. And yeah, I still play games for a living. I'm still pretty successful in that. I'm like around top 1,000 in the world, esport earnings as well. So I've been doing well on that. And yeah, now I'm here doing a podcast. So
it's crazy that while I was playing in the basement Super Nintendo, you were actually out there competing in tournaments as a kid. That is like a different world to me. I cannot understand that. But it's cool. Do you regret anything that this was the way you went into?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like interesting on like a social circle side growing up, right? Because my hobby being TCGs when I was like 9, 10, 11 years old, and I was essentially respected as like, yeah, this kid actually is not bad at the game. I can play real games with him. So my friends on my hobby side were always like 16 to like middle 20. So like high school / college kids basically, or like people that just started working. While the people I went to school with were like from my it's like some, I don't know, dumb kids. I was like, I don't know, you guys are so stupid. I'm going to hang out with the more mature people and so on. So like socially, that was interesting. I don't think it was bad. Like, I don't know. I think that helped me like figure out a lot of things quick in life and so on.
Yeah, I had a similar scenario where I started my first real like MMO experience with World of Warcraft. And I was like 14 years old, and I got thrown into this raiding guild, like 40 man. You have to be there if you late minus DKP and all of that stuff. And it was funny to like grow up playing online games with like 30, 40-year-old or 20-year-olds and so ever. Like it makes you, really pushes you to fit in fast and like evolve your childish brain to be able to do all sorts of things with adult persons. That's fun. Yes. So our first topic. Basically, we got a YouTube short from piratesoftware right here, and he is saying some stuff about blockchain developers, about blockchain games. I thought that would be a good place to start. So let's have a quick look what he's saying, and then we're going to talk about it. Just going to restart this.
So in nature, The level of stupid that is happening in the games industry right now because of blockchain is insane to me. It is the stupidest shit I've ever seen. And basically what they do is blockchain in and of itself is a ledger. A ledger is a recording of transactions, not a database. It's a recording of transactions. So what ends up happening is they use this as a database for a video game. And they're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna use blockchain to power this video game. That's fine, right? Well, what happens? Let's say somebody steals your account and they steal all your gold. In a normal traditional database, I can just reverse that. You get your gold back. Everything is fine. In a blockchain system, because it's a ledger, someone steals your gold, this isn't a database. They can't reverse that. There's not shit anyone can do. The admins can do nothing for you at all. I don't know why the games industry, anyone in the games industry is trying to do this, but it's reinventing the wheel as a triangle, and it's really stupid to watch.
I think that's such a funny analogy. Reinventing the wheel as a triangle. A little bit harsh, maybe. What's
There
your
are
opinion about
triangle
that?
bicycles that work nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
Some people invented that.
No way.
I don't know. Like, it's just like a classic short that's meant to go viral by like echo bubble-ish people that support that opinion. Because like saying this is the most stupid thing I've ever seen. It's like, obviously not. Like, obviously there's more stupid things you've seen in your life. Like, that's like, I don't know. It's like essentially like a relatively dumb thing to say, but it's a viral thing to say, right? So, okay, like that aside, it's like, sure, there's this one downside of, I don't know how many people's accounts get hacked nowadays. It's probably less than 1 in 1,000, maybe 1 in 10,000 or something. So it's a pretty edge case example of somebody being like stupid on their own security side of things, right? And then it's also like, okay, how do you even prove that this was your account? So then you needed like some, I don't know, KYC, if you lose your email or whatever. So it's like, okay, it's like an edge case, and there's a bunch of caveats to that as well. Sure, that is one arguable downside to it, but you have a lot of upsides as well, right? Because first of all, you can actually limit items in the game. You can say there's only this amount of things in the game, and you don't have to put that on gameplay, right? There can be like 1,000 super rare hollow versions of this, or there's like 1,000 people in World of Warcraft that got the mount while killing the boss on progress. And then the people who farm the mount like 5 years later of the 1% drop chance and the rate that they just go in once a week. Well, at the moment, it's the same mount, right? But in a blockchain system, it wouldn't be, right? So you can actually distinguish items, and you can trade items with other players. In the database system, well, you can't trade most of the items, right? Most things in games are essentially soul-bound, because if it's not soul-bound, then the economy structure that games have, where you have to buy packs and you can like, I don't know, you destroy some like 5 legendaries, you can make one new one that you want. Like those are the baseline economy models that we have. With blockchain, you don't have to have that economy model. You can have an economy model, people can trade items with each other. You can have marketplace, you can have entirely different monetization, because now you can monetize trading fees. Right? It's like the whole gaming industry went from what? You pay, you throw a coin into an arcade, to you have a one-time sum buying a game, then you can play it as often as you want, which people deemed more preferable. Then you have like what we call free-to-play games, which there's like a range of games where you pay for cosmetics, or you pay for progress, or you pay for extra features or whatever. Sure, that was also deemed like more user-friendly. Then we have Battle Pass, which combined time spent plus money spent for like more loot than you would get for the money only. And that is like that concept. Like we went from like a more user-friendly monetization to what blockchain games want to do now, where it is again like a more user-friendly monetization, because you can monetize transactions between people, like just charge a 5% fee or whatever, but the person can like sell that item, right? That's strictly beneficial. And if you want to compare this to real-life card games and trading card games, right? This is like essentially, if you played Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or whatever as a kid growing up, right? You know, well, I can trade cards with other people. If you played more professionally, you know I can buy and sell cards on eBay or TCG Player in the US, card market in Europe, right? Those massive platforms nowadays. Now, well, you have to wait for the post. The post has to not lose your package. Nobody at the post has to scam you. The person sending you something has to actually describe the condition correctly, and they have to actually send you something and not scam you, and so on and so on. So there's a bunch of trust and counterparty issues in all of these interactions. If it's online and on a ledger, none of those exist. Like, it's perfect.
So basically, sure you can get hacked, but also you cannot get scammed anymore when trading with others. So there's ups and downside to both of this. Where does Steam Marketplace fall into all of this? Because I feel like Steam Marketplace had kind of a similar model where all of your assets or most of your assets actually have a real world market value and you can trade them freely.
I mean,
But not
Steam Marketplace is gift cards, right? Like you don't actually trade for money that you can redeem to any like bank account or anything. You essentially have like a balance on your account, and you can
That's
like
true.
sell that for like minus X% or something. The same way you can. This is the same way that like in World of Warcraft, people pay for like 1,000,000 gold. Please play the raid as 19. I'm the 20. If I want to get the end boss accomplishment, here you have 1,000,000 gold, and then those people sell that 1,000,000 gold on a third-party website. So essentially, gaming industry always had a bunch of these third parties that like helped with monetizing a bunch of stuff, be it coaching, boosting, I don't know, I guess betting, win trading, all the shady stuff, but it exists, big industry, sadly.
Mm,
Like that was all third party, and with blockchain, it doesn't have to be third party anymore, and you can actually use that to positively engage the game, right? That's how we see in like a lot of games where the crypto games, it's like called pyramid scheme and whatever, but then no, you just like give a percentage of the revenue to like players in whatever marketing way that you deem good. That's just marketing, but it's marketing that's like publicly laid out, like X% of revenue goes to this or something like that. It's like a feasible economic structure. It's not, okay, this year the CEO said we have 20 million to put into this esport. Oh, last year we made 50% less revenue. Now we only put 1 million in. It's not like an arbitrarily chosen number, right? It's something
yeah.
that the thing is more successful if the game is successful, then you as like the person that has stuff in the game or is playing in the game benefits of it. Which is a marketing-wise a genius message, right? Because everybody in that ecosystem is essentially told, if you talk positive about this game, you get other people to play this game. That is positive for you and the game as well. Which otherwise, I don't know, if your buddies play the same online card game as you do, doesn't matter. But in like blockchain game, it matters.
Yeah. That could end up being a little bit of an echo bubble now if everybody is just pumping their own bags like
No, I
trying to
mean, for sure,
push
for
each other.
sure.
But that will always happen. Like you will always have those echo chambers with fans of a certain genre. Like it's not a bad thing to actually reward that and actually get value from that.
It's like a PlayStation versus Xbox or League of Legends versus Dota 2, right? Like I don't know, you have like the groups in the games, right? And they like or dislike each other, like it's fine. But here I don't know, there's like a positive incentive to it as well. But yeah, that's like fair. We can argue upsides and downsides to that. But on the company side, on the marketing side, you just incentivize everybody playing the game to market your game. Like that's like a company side positive. And if the company makes more revenue, they actually like have it in paper that they give something to the people involved in it, right? It's not like, okay, the CEO gets 150 million bonus. At the same time, we kick 1,000 employees out of our company. Blizzard.
Yeah, you had some hard times with Blizzard because you were a pro gamer in Hearthstone, and then the company went to shit, or the game went to shit, basically.
No, I think it's like way more nuanced than like those extreme public takes on most of the side, right? Like I don't like I don't like what like the Hearthstone developer team became, like the people working there, decisions that were made on like 2019, 2020 onwards. I think a lot of stuff went drastically downhill there. That is what I will 100% say. I think the dev team has been horrendous. I think they didn't have like a charismatic person to the outside that was actually
was that
on a
after
like
Ben
player level.
Brode?
Yeah.
Brode got kicked out. Yeah.
Was he kicked out or did he leave? I don't actually know. Like he left to make Marvel Snap, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think like Hearthstone under Ben Brode. Did you mention Ben Brode is good, right? Because we can. I should have told you this before. If we talk about Hearthstone, you could look up like Ben Brode Arthur's rap song or something on YouTube, and Ben Brode was this charismatic person in like the front of the game. Like Ben Brode was the face of Hearthstone, and after he was gone, there was no face of Hearthstone anymore. The same way that like Mortdog is the face of TFT. Right? Like people in TFT are unlucky in the game. They say, I get Mortdogged, or like they want to get lucky. Like Mortdog just hit the button, or I think Iniko, like a former TFT player, started working, and they say like Iniko, like hit me up or whatever. Like you have these like people in the developer team that you know by name. and that everybody knows in the community. And Ben Brode was that. And after Ben Brode was gone, I feel like all the people in the Hearthstone dev were like relatively unlikable people that made themselves unlikable the way that they talked to the community and presented themselves. And I think that like sucked, and like also the decisions that he made in the game, like I think sucked as well. Like a lot of them, like a lot of the balance patches were horrendous, and
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Pirate Software's shorts and stuff, and he talks a lot about how really bad the working conditions at Blizzard were. So I guess maybe that's a reflection of how the corporate structure treated the employees, and then they gave that to the community. Like they were upset with Blizzard, so they acted upset with the community as well, and it's just like a vicious cycle.
I mean, the people who are like on the top chain, right? Like, I don't think they have bad conditions. I think it's more like the bottom end people, and they had no input on any decisions made whatsoever. Like, Blizzard hired some pro players that essentially told them, look, you should patch this card, or this is a dumb thing to do. They just ignore them. Like, if you're like at the bottom of the corporate thing, you just like get hired, you have no say, right? It's like the team lead or the higher person that just like, that's like my issue with that. I think there were like some people that just had the idea of the game has to be this way. This is what I think is correct. And I don't think it worked out because player numbers dropped, the revenue numbers dropped, viewer numbers on eSport and on Twitch dropped. Everything was going poorly, but they just kept that trend going. Like I think that I cannot, I don't know. It's hard for me to see that. From some extent on the corporate structure, it's like, okay, you just want to keep doing what you were doing because the game is like net positive cash flow for them. And if you change something, maybe it is not a net positive cash flow anymore. Also, if you change something, then if it doesn't work, you're blamed for it, right? Yeah. So on the corporate side, there's like a bunch of issues with that. That's like, it's just a big company issue, I guess. That's why I said it's like, it's very nuanced. I don't want to like 100%, this is horrible and so on. No, I can understand a lot of the points and things that happened. I also understand, okay, there's like Microsoft coming in to buy them out. So they just have to keep the stock market price up. So they cut like employees, they cut costs and so on. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It sounds like the higher ups were toxic then to the lower ups, the casual workers in Blizzard, which created a lot of outbursts, and they were also like had a lot of ego involved, it sounds like, and very married to their ideas for the games, where they wouldn't hear out other players or players in general or pro players or other team members. And Hearthstone is in shambles. We have other games that are coming up. And by the way, you told me, I've never seen this, but here it is. Ben Brode's grilled cheese. Is that the one?
Probably not. No.
Probably not?
That's another one, though. Right.
Who's hungry?
I'm hungry.
Hello, it's me.
It's like funny stuff like this.
Back again with a brand new beat. See, it's time to eat. I'm not petite, so let me tell y'all fools how to make grilled cheese. I eat grilled cheese every day, so listen to what I say.
That's
think
pretty
you
good.
should make grilled cheese this way. See these grilled cheeses I'm dropping, a hard stopping, jar topping, and these are the 11 steps that you should be copying. Step 1, go to the supermarket, bring a parka and a flashlight if it's dark. Another thing you gotta do is grab a carton and it's on to step 2. Yo, here's what you do. Grab a loaf, a sourdough. These are the breads, gotta go. Wouldn't matter if these breads were free. Sourdough for me, now it's on to step 3. Grab some cheese, but there's a lot of cheese. Cheese.
That's really good.
Sure ain't a breeze.
Listen to the whole thing.
And I'll make it easy.
Let's check out the after thing. I think
This is the cheese that I love the most. If you don't have cheese, you just make it toast.
That's a banger. Dude, the first time I came to...
He's a charismatic person. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, I would love to work under that guy. Like, it must be fun. Like, you can see that right away. It's... Yeah. The first time I came to Canada, I got introduced to grilled cheese. Before that, we just have cheese toast. But grilled cheese is next level. They don't want that to be mistaken with grilled cheese. And it's good, man. Have you made a grilled cheese before?
Probably not.
One day I'll make you grilled cheese.
I probably ordered one in the US at some point, but haven't made it. Oh yeah, no, I think it's so important to have this like person in the company that people can like see and relate to, and it's like popular, right? It's like that's the thing in a lot of the crypto games as well, where you actually have those like founders or CEOs and whatever that are like in the public, or like and they're just like known, right? They have communities, they are respected, and they don't have to take everything like super, super serious, right? They're more these a bit loose and entertaining people as well. I think that's really, really good.
Yeah, that's a big point. And the project we're in Illuvium, we can really see that as well with the CEOs just being very relatable and very crazy individual people, I feel like. All right, what's this? Artis.
Well, Mets, my name is Ben Brode. I got a story to tell. Are you ready? Then come on and listen well. Many years ago there lived a paladin. He was Prince of the Alliance when the story begins. This ain't a happy story, it's a little dark. This ain't no summer day, this ain't no walk in the park. You see, this prince's name was Arthas, aka the Lich King. This is the story of how he became him. It all started with the mysterious plague. Only vague reports for all the Alliance
cool
scouts.
because it reiterates like
The king said
Warcraft
Arthas
3
to go check out
as
the
well,
rumor.
right?
And he met up with his college buddy Jaina Proud.
That's dope.
Arthas and Jaina, yo, they were on
And,
the case. They found some crates filled with
Like
That's
so
sick.
many people like who actually play computer games, right? They will be like, yeah, I know that I played that game, and so on.
Yeah. Warcraft 3, that was one of the big games of my childhood. Like, that was one of the first games when I went to PC from, like, Super Nintendo and stuff, where we would play, like, fun maps and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
really
Warcraft
liked
3 was
that.
the reason I got my parents to buy me a PC. Because there was I was on holidays with my mom, and there was an internet cafe at the hotel, so I would just go there every day and play games, essentially, for like a little bit. Because I was like, I'm not gonna just hang out at the beach like all day, whatever. I also met another kid to play games with, so we just went there and we always played Warcraft 3. I was like, yeah, I want to have that game as well. Please, please give me a PC.
Yeah. I had like two stepbrothers, and one was like 8 years older than me, and one was 4 years older than me. And they were really into gaming. And then I got my first PC and I could game with them, and we would do like 2-on-1 versus the older guy in like Hero Line Wars, like fun maps in Warcraft 3,
Mhm.
and also play like Jedi Academy 2 PvP. That was really fun. Grab somebody with the force, just put him over the edge and let him drop. That really hooked me.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. So Blizzard is on the downfall, even though they just sold to Microsoft, right?
I
So
mean,
maybe there's good times ahead.
that's like the thing, right? Like I don't like this take of like Blizzard is just over and horrible and everything they do is bad and so on, because
They have such a strong IP.
Their goal was just like keep the stock market price up, sell to Microsoft, and they're chilling, right? Like what's the CEO getting for the buyout, like 400 million or something? I think it was like three. I mean, maybe it's like a fake headline. They didn't look too much into it. It was like 395 mil or whatever. So it's like, okay, that's like the goal of the company, right? Like build up a company, get the valuation up, and maybe just sell the company, and then people involved, shareholders and so on, they might make a lot of money. That's the goal, right? You want to make money for your shareholders. So I don't fail them for making those decisions, but that also just means, I don't know, the quality of the products wasn't like as high and as polished anymore as they used to when they came out. It's the same for Nintendo and every Pokemon game that they make every year, right? Like I feel like those games are not as polished as they used to be in the past, because they just have to make a game every year, and they know the same couple million people are just going to buy the game every year. So they're going to make like, I don't know, X amount of millions times $70 in revenue. Like you're not going to pass up on that yearly. You could only release one every 2 years. You would probably not make more money off it, right? So
yeah, they're pretty much as polished as the old ones. They didn't go far. They're still in the same state as old games. Like back then it was acceptable, but right now people are really mad at that. And we saw that with the PAL world exploding. It was just people needed something new with a similar idea, but something better.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm so optimistic on like Hoyoverse as a gaming studio, right? Because I actually think when they made Genshin Impact came out, they didn't know how big of an international success it would be. So it took them some time to probably just get more resources on the dev team and be like, okay, we need more events and more extra stuff and content and so on. Sure, but after those like few initial months, like they have very constant like content, and everything is like super high quality and polished, and they just keep improving quality of life. And then you make the Honkai Star Rail like a year ago. The next game, it comes out, it's so incredibly polished compared to if I look at like Pokemon or even, I don't know, Diablo or like so many other games. I look at them, it's like you need to do a lot of unnecessary clicks. There's some graphic not working, something feels unintuitive, feels not user-friendly. Then I look at like the Hoyoverse games, it's like everything is hyper intuitive, everything is easy to understand, and it's just super friendly to play. I'm like, yeah, I'm really optimistic on that studio because they make those high quality things while a lot of other studios don't. But it's also not this like enormous company like Blizzard yet, right? So that's like the difference. They just have to convince you with the super high quality. People don't just like buy the IP, like buy the next Pokemon game, buy the next of this and this and this, right?
Yeah. It reminds me of streamers where when you're a small content creator, you have to have your content really on a high quality level. So if somebody checks it out, they stick with you. But once you have 1 million followers or whatever, you hit live and you're going to have your 10, 20,000.
Yeah.
Like you can react to TikToks all day long or whatever you want to do. Like we can see that really much with anything that gets successful, it gets like less focused on quality and just trying to maintain and stuff like that. But isn't then also this company going into the same direction as Blizzard in the long run because it's a normal company, a normal corporate structure once it gets bigger and bigger?
Who knows? Maybe
Probably.
maybe they keep up the quality of things, right? I mean, I think they've like kept up / improved the quality on Genshin Impact, and it's out for what, like 3 years now, making them insane amounts of money, right? They put a lot of resources in that, making it better. I mean, some things. I mean, I haven't logged in that much recently. I haven't played Genshin that much, but even when I log in, there's like always some quality of life feature improved. There's something better, and we can argue, okay, they could have done this before or a year ago or whatever. But hey, at least it's there now. At least they didn't like accept it's just never gonna happen or whatever. Like at least they're like listening to the feedback that people submit and so on. So I think that's a positive. Obviously, who knows what will happen in the future. But yeah, if we talk about company structures, right? It's like where like DAOs is the new thing, right? Like Illuvium being a DAO, that can be very positive there.
Yeah, I wonder if, because there's obviously ups and downs also to a DAO, but it seems like so much better for the long-term success, for the really long-term success, because the corporate, the company has to listen to the community, has to listen to their stakeholders. So it feels like a more sustainable way of building all of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like obviously traditional companies have to listen to their shareholders to like, depending on what the exact company structure it is, right, to like a lesser or greater extent as well. But I think in the DAO, I mean, essentially like everybody that has like what one ILV stake gets like one voting power, and in Illuvia, as the example, there's like quadratic voting, right? So it's not like that somebody with 1,000 ILV has 1,000 voting power. It's like, shit, no math.
It's like 30 or something.
Yeah, it's 33. Like, how am I not thinking? I don't need more coffee. Yeah, it's like 33, right? So like 33 people with one equal one person with 1,000. That would likely not happen in most traditional company setups, right?
Yeah.
So that's
rather
a big
the
difference.
opposite, right?
Yeah, it's more like you have one. Okay, you're completely irrelevant for sure.
Yeah,
like you can sell. Who cares? You're not going to impact the market price. The person that's holding like 5% of the company, that's going to impact the market price if they are like, yeah, I'm going to sell. So that's a big difference, right? And obviously, council is like an elected board of directors. I don't know if Blizzard elects a board of directors from shareholders. I'm not aware of that. I could be wrong here. I think most companies don't do that, like in this like gaming world at least. I could be wrong on that. I actually am not 100% sure.
No, but it would make sense to actually put those people in the position because they have a lot of power in the company. So you wouldn't want to leave it up to chance.
Yeah, I mean, in a traditional company, right, that's like, there are a lot of risks attached with that as well, right? Like you could have like a hostile takeover, so to say, by somebody like scheming and voting in people that have not the best interests for the company at heart, right? And maybe
that's also a problem in DAO, right?
No, I mean in DAO. That's
in
DAO more likely. Right. That you just like have like the hostile, like I don't know, some different company, just like, but you have to invest a lot of money into making that happen, right? And then I don't know, there's like upsides and downsides to that, right? Like in theory, it's an issue. I don't think we've really seen a case of it happening so far, But yeah, in theory, it could happen. In theory, you could have like a board of directors that then has a lot of power, too much power, maybe makes really, really bad decisions. So it's the same like with the initial video take of like, it's just what piratesoftware said, right? It's just a ledger, and this is the one horrible thing. It's like, okay, there's this one horrible thing, sure, where you cannot just like restore somebody's account. But there's also a bunch of upsides, right? There's a bunch of upsides, there's downsides to things. It's usually not black or white. It's usually not everything is perfect or bad. It's the same here, right? Like you have the centralized company is really quick and fast to act, especially while they are small. And if you have a leader, if you have like people in charge that make really good decisions, being centralized is optimal, right? It's this idea of the benevolent dictator. That's a utopian idea. Like in theory, it is best if you have a dictator that is like the most genius person in the world and acts in the interest of everybody else. That is perfect. Does that exist? Well, not really. It's more like a utopian concept.
So far, every time somebody had too much power, they get corrupted. Like it's very proven that usually once it gets bigger and bigger, this genius at the top is looking less and less for everybody else. And
I think it's more that the corrupt people are looking for power, especially nowadays.
I guess, yeah.
Like I don't think everybody got corrupted when they had like power, but you didn't. Like at some point, some person in the line would be, and that's the issue, right? Like you can have like 99 out of 100, everything is perfect, and one person is bad, and like that makes the system fail, right? That's why you want like trustless systems. It's like that. Yeah. That's like this like crypto concept, right? You want trustless systems where you don't have to just believe something. You can just write it down in a smart contract, and then this is how it's going to happen. You don't have to. You do no counterparty risk, right?
And that's where all this fear, I think, comes from, to lose all your stuff because it's written down. It cannot be changed. But isn't there ways to work around being hacked and stuff like this on a ledger system on the blockchain? Like that.
I mean, you can write smart contracts however you want, right? It's like upsides and downsides to that. Like you can just like say if somebody can prove that this address stole your assets, and maybe it's still on that other wallet, it didn't get sold to other people or whatever. You can just like blacklist those assets from ever accessing your game or marketplace. Then the issue is they could like third party and sell it, and somebody buys it and they're like, oh shit, I can't use this. Then you can tell people only use the official ways of like buying and interacting with people. So you probably run into some issues there because it is tradable, and eventually like you cannot like make them not interact on a blockchain. You could like block them from interacting on your platform or maybe on the trading platforms that people usually use, sure. But you have like issues come in with that. So it's like, you in theory, you could replicate it, but then it comes with other issues as well. Because you could blacklist and you could just mint the things for the guy again. And you can say those things can never be used in the game. Here you have your stuff again. We still maintain the same amount of things because we sold there's only 100 million of this item. And now some are blacklisted, so we can mint some more, sure. If the items aren't limited, you could just like mint them more and tell the people you can't, I don't know. It's awkward, right? Like certainly that is something you can't like one-to-one replicate, but in the game example, somebody steals your stuff, you can't really delete those items from the person that got it, especially like World of Warcraft example, right? Somebody hacks an account, sells stuff in the auction house, sells the gold on a third-party website. What you're going to do, like take gold from... Like the person who bought the gold, okay, maybe you know that they did that an illicit thing. You can't prove that though. So that's like, like somebody can just like make the upset threat about you. And then somebody paid money at the auction house for those items. You're going to take those items. Like it's the same issue, but on a blockchain, well, it's like the same issue with like real ownership and money involved. And then the game, it's like in-game items and in-game currency. Now we can argue whether there's a difference or not to that. Some people will say yes, some will say no.
Well, the thing is, you acquired both of these things with the same amount of time invested. So everything you gave was time for the game, and either you got money from it or like real value, real world value, or you got fictional value in the game. But you still gave the same and you basically have the same. Just, I would say like real value is a little bit more important to me now, because after putting hundreds and hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands into Hearthstone, I got nothing to show. Maybe a screenshot from my top rank, but that's it. And all those cards are slowly going into wild and never to be played again, and that just makes me sad. Also, my 10,000 hours played in World of Warcraft, and every 1 year there's a new expansion, basically erasing everything. Like, why is nobody talking about that? Why are we talking about that edge case that somebody could get hacked when actually the company themselves just reset the whole progress of the whole community anyway in some games? It's crazy to me. I cannot play it anymore.
No, I mean, but that's also the point, right? Like, you don't have to use blockchain tech for every single game, every single genre, right? Like, in like a World of Warcraft, you still want to have new expansions every year, right? Like, that just makes sense. But on something like, but like if the mounts would be tradable, that's such a big upside to the players in the game, right? Now, we could say, you can just like make the mounts tradable without like a ledger system. Sure, that would also work. But then you have like, it's just less player friendly, right? Because you still don't actually own that. You can only use in-game currency. And then a lot of people use third-party stuff to give the third-party money to do things for you in the game. And you have like more security issues involved, right? Like essentially a ledger is more secure than a database. There's people hacking games. There's people hacking modern games, modern esport and whatever, right? Like it's proven that those companies aren't fail-proof. Blockchain, obviously, sure, smart contracts could maybe also not be fail-proof. Maybe there are exploits, but it's like less likely to happen. It's also public code, so there's no like hidden stuff essentially. I think that's a reasonable upside. And I guess that's also the big issue why you can't replicate the real money trading aspect into like the traditional database game. Because how do you know that the gaming publisher or somebody who's like hacking and whatever is not just creating stuff out of thin air and then selling it on a marketplace? Like, how do you know? You don't. It's impossible to know. On like a public ledger, you know, or you can at least figure it out, or you can track it down and so on and so on. So that's one of the main big things where it's like, when people say you can just replicate this one-to-one without blockchain, no, you actually can't. Like, it's just, you can't. Like, it's just the better technology for doing this. And that's
there's security issues with that, but also security issues with the other one. And for example, we had, like you said, third parties have been creating, for example, gold. They have been selling gold. And then Blizzard came in and sold their own gold. So they're kind of tying the gold in-game to a real-world asset, to like the game pass or whatever, the $13 a month. And then you can, again, hack the game, get gold, sell it for real money. Like, there is always a roundabout way to do it anyway. So might as well choose a system that gives the most benefits for the players in the end, after all is said and done.
Actually, you could not really sell gold for money, right? You could like sell gold to buy a gift card for a month of game time, right?
Yeah.
Basically. So you could like save yourself some money.
Yeah, not officially. That's true.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? It's like, again, you cannot like make... And also, like, the companies then run into probably some legal things as well that have to be like figured out and cleared up, right?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, it's again same with Steam Marketplace. You can sell your stuff, but it stays in the economy. You cannot take it outside.
Yeah, it's like you get gift cards. It's like fake money. It's not actually something that goes to your bank account.
Yeah. Talking about Hearthstone, I've been playing, and I know you've been playing a bit of Parallel. And I gotta say, first off, I enjoy my time, but the clunkiness makes me cringe so much every time I play it, because I'm so used to Hearthstone, right? The development, like the code is really good in Hearthstone, I guess. And you can okay, you have another opinion, but compared to Parallel...
No, like your point is fine, but like the code is really good in Hearthstone. No, that one not. Like the code, I think, is really
the
horrible.
UI or the quality of life of a player is really good in Hearthstone. You can like queue up actions, like while the one is being worked out, you already play the next one, and it's so extremely fluent. And then I play Parallel, and I'm sitting there 3 seconds waiting for the animations to stop. I'm like, oh.
I mean, the animations don't take time away from your turn down Parallel, so that's different to Hearthstone.
True.
Like that's true. Like it's not. It's like I agree. Like the Parallel as a game, I've also played over the last week. UI and UX can be improved like tremendous amounts. Like for sure, but I think they're like aware of that, and they're probably gonna like do something about it, right? The game itself and the gameplay elements and so on, I think it's chill. Like it's just like a regular card game. The cards that exist in the game is like a feeling of Hearthstone Classic, but slightly higher power level to me. There's none of this like random card generation stuff that Hearthstone added like tremendous extents later on in the game, which I wasn't like the biggest fan of. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a fine game, but it's still like in a beta state, right? It has like a way to go, basically.
Yeah. And it's funny that people, just because it has blockchain, like as it's not really integrated, it's like one aspect that you don't have to opt in. That's why it's whatever Ponzi scam and so on.
Yeah, and people. I mean, I've said like especially like 2020 onwards, I realized how incredibly, let's use the word stupid, like tremendous parts of Hearthstone community, ranging from like average community member, a person who's like talking on Reddit and Twitter, up until like dev team is. Just a lot of very, very uneducated opinions and takes that people have, where it always makes me wonder, do they just say this to cater to like the vocal crowd on Reddit, on Twitter, or whatever, the vocal keyboard warriors, or do they say this because they actually believe in it? Like, because it's like so incredibly like illiterate takes sometimes, where I'm like, okay, you have not even opened this game once, or you have not even 30 minutes looked into this like economical, political, or whatever currently trending topic there was. You have no clue about what you're talking about, but you have the strong opinion just to have this like echo bubble trend. And I realized that was pretty fucking bad in 2020 onwards, especially because I guess the world was relatively polarizing and people became more talkative about economic and political topics. And yeah, the same as in parallel. It's like, this is a Ponzi, this is bad. It's like, you can literally download the game, you play your rookie games, and you can craft, I think, almost whatever deck you want. Or maybe you have to like play a couple levels of the battle pass to get some more booster packs. Like,
Yeah,
literally you have to spend zero money.
Yeah, there's a full free-to-play Web 2 game in there. And then if you want to actually take this to Web 3 because you're stoked about it, then you can do that. But you actually lose out zero on just playing the game as a normal game. And that's what people don't realize. Like, everybody, like, it comes from the early days of crypto, and you get scammed once, you get burned on the oven, on the stove, and you'll never touch the stove again, right? And people just got burned in the beginning because they didn't know how to stay safe and were just clicking links or whatever. And now everything in there is just a scam. Everything is bad. And I hate being in this situation where I am a gamer in my heart, and I just want to play the best games and have the best situations happening, the best environment for me to be a gamer. And I think that's Web3 because, like I said, I played 15 years. I lost so many. I had like playtime in World of Warcraft where /play, and it's like hundreds of days of in-game playtime on one character. And you look back at that and you're like, shit, I really freaking lost a lot of time. Well, this is still gonna happen. I'm still gonna lose a lot of time. But at least I would like to have something to show for it. If I put in 10,000 hours into a game, I would like to at least own the stuff that I did in there. And I think that's so good for everybody in the gaming community. And I'm really sad that we're getting that Web3 is just, it's got to get there, but it's a very uphill battle to fight, it feels like, because of those early scams. And what else happened? Web 2, early stages of Web 2, everything was full of scams. Now you wouldn't ever think about calling the internet a scam. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like click. I mean, people are clicking links. I mean, maybe that's like a thing for like a generation a few years below me. I mean, I'm 27 now, right? But I grew up with like, don't click random links. It's bad. Don't do that. It's stupid. So I don't know. Like maybe that's like people who grew up like a little later than that, and the internet was essentially safer, like air quotes at that point. So they didn't worry about that. Sure. I think one thing on the parallel Hearthstone thing though, Parallel's economy is like literally 1-to-1 Hearthstone's economy on like the like Web 2 style game. And then on top of that, they just have, well, you can also buy the NFT deck and like this stuff. And then there's like a percentage revenue share for playing leaderboard games and winning them or something like that, right? So like, first of all, you have to win games, so you can't really just like bot it. You have to be high rank, so you can't really bot it, like efficiently at least. So that's a good thing. It's not just like spending thousands of hours or whatever. You actually have to be not bad at the game. So it's like the same as like an esport or whatever. Sure, we can argue, there's going to be like all the illicit behavior things, stream sniping, win trading with your own multiple accounts, and so on and so on. Like all that, like illicit behavior stuff, sure, that happens or maybe it doesn't happen in parallel yet because it's like relatively small. We've had like in illuvium, when there were leaderboard rewards, we've had accusations of this looks really, really shady if you look at the match history of these people and so on. So like all of those things, those are Web 2 issues for like why there's usually not cash on leaderboards, but why they usually make leaderboards into qualify for tournaments. And nothing is stopping the Web 3 games from doing that as well if they run into those issues, right? I don't think it's currently that bad because currently I'm so positively surprised on that I assume the majority, from what it looks like to me, the majority of people in these Web 3 games actually play relatively fair. Like, I don't think there's I think, okay, stream sniping, I think that's like happening, sure. But it's been less than I expected. Like, I think there's like, I think in illuvium, there have been only very few people where like play Hearthstone, it's like very obvious, okay, every couple people that I play with, it's very obvious that they just stream snipe me. Sure, it's not obvious to the average viewer because they don't know what like the average plays look like or why people make like sus decisions. The same in illuvium, right? But when I stream illuvium, it's like very, very rarely that happens compared to what I was used to Hearthstone. And I think if I look at like parallel people streaming parallel and so on, it looks again like I don't think there's a lot of win trading. I don't think there's a lot of stream sniping. I don't think there's a lot of like cheating in any kind of these ways. Whereas I look at Web 2 game, look at like top elo League of Legends. There's like betting, there's win trading, there's intentionally griefing games to like insane amounts. I look at top elo gameplay in Hearthstone. Yeah, I mean, the scripting gets banned relatively quickly. That's pretty easy to figure out. But like the other things you can't really ban people for. It's like, oh, yeah, the bad game. Like, what you gonna do? Or you can't you can only 99% prove, right? Like they had in Hearthstone as well. Like people don't know. Like if you're like actually a player and you know what behind the scenes, it's like this 99%. Like so many people are cheating or like doing things that are prohibited in one or the other way, but you can just not prove it.
Yeah,
or you cannot prove it to like the public and. It is relatively bad. Like, I don't know. Like, it is bad. It is annoying. And I've not really seen that in the same way in those, like, Web 3 games so far. So I'm positively surprised on how players behave, actually. Like, they seem to be more... they seem to be, like, better people with better morals, I guess, so to say.
Could be because it's also a smaller player base. Once you... Like, it's a big difference if you have 10,000 players to when you have, like, 2.5 million or something. Like, always when... Sure. People get together in big masses, they just become stupid sheep, it feels like, and there is not real like code of honor being upheld anymore and stuff like this. But I do hope that it's gonna stay like this because I've been feeling the same way. Really honorable people, you can really trust people because people, I feel like they're so on the edge in Web3 to not fall for any scams, and they've been getting pretty good at it, so they can identify genuine good people that they want to like engage with, they want to become friends with, and they can also just identify like positive, nice communities where they want to engage with. And then I don't know, there's a lot of, even though we're trying to be trustless, I feel like there's a lot of trust between the community members, and I like to see that. It's really cool.
I mean, it's crazy, right? Because like in reality, there's more financial incentive to all of the like, so to say, like unsportsmanlike behavior in like a lot of these Web3 games compared to like the average Web 2 game. Like which Web 2 game can you actually just monetize esport nowadays? Like I like out of like the strategy game genre, which like most of Web3 is, because building strategy games is like a little bit easier, I guess. Like making card games obviously easier than like MMO, right? I don't know a single Web 2 strategy game where I could monetize gameplay. Like maybe on like the boosting and coaching side, sure. On the streaming side, 100%. But on just competing, I don't know a single one. Like Hearthstone, certainly not. TFT is certainly not. And also, like TFT is by far the biggest probably nowadays. Hearthstone is. Yeah. I mean, like strategy games are kind of like not doing too well overall, I guess. So like there's just like no way to monetize competitive gameplay, I guess, and that's like kind of sad. I don't know. Maybe there's like a lot into that as well from companies getting burned on like competitions and I guess there's like a lot of like corporate stuff to unpack as well over the last few years, like why prize money is down and a lot of stuff is down.
Yeah, basically all the esports orgs are going down and they're not making any money anymore. But yeah, I like that. For example, like another good point about Web3, like you already mentioned, it caters towards people earning actually from playing. And it just makes the dream. I think everybody who started playing as a kid has that dream. Oh, I want to play games and I want to get paid for it. I want to be a pro gamer. In reality, they don't realize how hard of a job it actually is, how mentally stressful. I think you know that as best. But also when I see like league players competing in the championships and where there is a huge stage and everything, they are a slave to their job. They have to do this every day, all day, no matter what, and it's a tough job. But anyway, Web3, like anybody could have joined Illuvium, played a little bit, do a little bit of research, and a normal player, like a gold player in League of Legends, suddenly would earn $10 a week, whatever it is, whatever the number might be. I think that's really cool to just make, like, to just get something out of playing the game. Like it used to be, you actually need to pay for games. Then we kind of got to where actually, if you just play a game, you're already giving the company something. So free to play is already you giving them value by giving them your time. And now we're at a point where, hey, if I give you time, you give me something in return. And I really, really enjoy that. I really like that. That's how it should be, I think.
I guess that is like the rhetoric that like a little bit is going to be like this like Ponzi argument, right? Because like where's the money coming from? But then in the end, again, it's just like marketing cost, right? Like most of those games are like, okay, the top whatever leaderboard players or whatever, like so on, or the people are ingrained in the economy, right? Illuvium is a really good example of just ingraining people into the economy of the game, and then you monetize like the company is selling certain amounts of like digital assets to people, right? And then they're trading fees and so on and so on. So there's like certain ways to monetize that, and then you use part of that for just like marketing, right? It's like you can do marketing in the sense of you just like run the Super Bowl ad, which what is now is like 7 million for the 30 seconds or something. You can pump 7 million into that, or like you can do both as well, right? You just use something for in the game, right? It's like, oh, if you do if you're really committed to this game, you spend a lot of time and then you become really good at it, then they call a customer, right? They probably called like a paying customer to some extent even. Maybe you get some of the money you spend back. Maybe you get more back than you spend. But it's not going to be the case for everybody, right? Like playing the game doesn't have to be a net positive income for you, but just like keeping your stuff, and like if you leave the game, you can just give it to somebody else and so on. Just not even on the financial side, right? But just like you stop playing World of Warcraft. If you could give your friends like your mounts and whatever stuff, that would be huge. The same for me. I've like not as much time in World of Warcraft, but I could have given a lot of cool stuff and mounts to people. I rated progress. I have like the end boss mounts of everything that I played and so on. So that would have been cool. I have spent like $10,000 or probably more on Hearthstone. Well, I haven't logged in a few years. I'm not going to log in anymore, right? Spend like 20K, 25K in Genshin. I'm not playing that game a whole lot anymore. I wouldn't want to sell all of those things because I think I'm going to play the game again when I have more free time. But I could like sell excess stuff, right? Because if you open so many like loot boxes in a sense to get things in like a card game or a gacha game, you have like so much extra stuff that you don't need. You could just give that to your friends. Like worst case, right? Like worst case, I can not even sell it, but I just give it to my friends and tell my friends, "You play this game. It's a good game." And then they have like a easier intro to the game, and maybe they become paying customers. Then maybe they buy the battle pass every month, and that's like good enough, right? If you have that's like World of Warcraft monetization, right? Like you buy monthly battle pass for $13. You have 10 million people that do that. That's 130 million revenue a month. That's what World of Warcraft did, right? That's why World of Warcraft was so successful.
Plus, they were selling a game each year where you actually had to pay to reset everything. That's crazy that they made actually people pay monthly plus still managed to sell like the add-ons as a full standalone game where you had to pay like what, $30 or something again?
No, I think it was more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, at the beginning it was like $60. It was like just a new game.
Yeah, it was just a new game, and then you paid like a monthly game time, right? But that's like the thing, right? Like if you get people to like just pay the battle pass every month, maybe do like a daily login bonus. That's like what like gacha games do, right? Like you pay $5 and you get like 50 cents of in-game currency every day that you log in or something like that. I mean, obviously that is like harder to replicate in like a game where assets are tradable, because then like $5 into like logging in transition to like 30 or whatever, or 15, like bad example, right? I think it's more than 15 per month that they do that. That doesn't work, right? But so you have to like figure out economical ways and so on. But yeah, I think fundamentally, if you have, it's just I don't know, I come back to this over and over, right? But it's just marketing costs. And I don't think everybody should expect to go like net positive. I think that is the idea that people like get so hung up on when you sell them the game and you're like, you make money of this. You make no, sell them the idea, which I think that is the positive idea. You own those things, and maybe they go down, maybe they go up, but they have a value, and you can like keep them. It's the same as like TCG cards, right? Like some cards from 10 years ago are up, some are down. Okay.
Yeah. It's like a card pack opening in TCG, right? You probably, like, if you open 1 million packs, you're not gonna get revenue, or like you're not gonna go up maybe in money, but you maybe gonna break even, maybe less, maybe more, but you get something out of it, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
To your point, is that a good analogy that I thought of? For example, because you said, where's the money coming from if people are actually getting rewarded for playing? It's basically the same like in League of Legends skins. Like, skins have a value and they sell them, but they also give some skins for free. Like, if you play all week long, probably you earn like 2 free skins a week. And they are able to give all this free stuff away because that incentivizes people to actually buy more, play more, and is good for the ecosystem. So similar to that, like you said, it's marketing expense. You just give something to then receive more back in the end.
Yeah, I mean, you can't like one-to-one copy that like model, right? Because League of Legends things aren't tradable, right? So you're like far more free to just give people like it doesn't cost League anything to give somebody a skin for free, right? The calculation that they have there is like, how much can we give away for free that then returns us the most income? Like if we give this little, people don't care to buy. If we give too much, people don't care to buy. You have to like find the optimal thing, right? So it's just like you can't one-to-one copy that, right? But I think what Illuvium did, for example, with the fuel airdrop to land holders, right? I think that's a reasonable example of something like that, where it's like, okay, now there is I think $1 million in fuel crates, essentially like airdrop to people. It's like, okay, in theory, if all of those people would have spent exactly that amount of money, and then they don't spend extra or whatever, then that is like minus 950k reftas, right? That comes with the caveat that none of them actually like are now, okay, I can test out the game, they like the game, then they spend more. That's like the base case that every company uses usually, like give you some like test, trial, demo, free entry, whatever, and then you like the game, and a certain amount of people becomes paying customers that then spend monthly amounts of money on this, right? I think the number that the average person spends on games nowadays is pretty high. Like it's like a high middle 2-digit number per month. So that's if that is reoccurring monthly, that's crazy for a company. So acquiring customers is really, really good. I think something like was it Raid Shadow Legends? Like everybody knows that mobile game. They pay a lot to the people that advertise their game, and then be like, okay, everybody that like downloads our game and finishes our tutorial, we give you like $20 or something for that. That's a lot of money, right? $20 for somebody just like plays their tutorial. So they think if they don't acquire every single person that as a customer, but if they acquire like, I don't know, every 10th of that, maybe they think they make more than $200 off like one person, for example, if they actually play the game. Or maybe they assume that they get more than 1 in 10 people who actually play the tutorial. So I kind of lost my thought there.
Yeah, it's the same, for example, with Kick. You know, you come into the streaming space and you create a company. You're going to give your creators what they have, like 90% of ad revenue goes to creators, just to
No, Kick
like
doesn't have ad revenue, subscriber revenue.
Or the subscriber revenue. Almost everything goes to the users, just to get a lot of people in, and then once they're successful, they can up the prices. But you're always gonna give out free shit to get people hooked to your product. Is it
I mean,
with skins,
Kick is like a whole different other thing, I think. But no, like, I want to come back to a sec for that airdrop thing, right?
I think it's applicable to everything in the world, where when you start out, you always sell yourself undervalued to make it, like to show people, oh, we're there and it's so cheap, so people come, and then once they're hooked to the product, you're gonna go into a real sustainable business model.
To some extent, yes, right? Like to like a further extent, like maybe this is not a super applicable illuvium example, I guess, because like the airdrop wasn't just like here you have money to like go and test out the game, right? It's like, okay, like the whole landholders and like it's been delayed and issues and so on. So we want to actually do something because we didn't like come through with what we intended to come through essentially, or what we had initially set and so on. So this is like not solely like here trial and maybe we can like acquire customers and make more money, because those are already people like in your ecosystem and so on anyways. So it's like the 100% comparison. But I think the good comparison is, that's why in this, like, I don't want to get too much into like illuvium governance stuff, but I was like upset when I read people say like it's minus 950K revenue or ref this potentially, because the assumption that like the people who you give that to would have spent exactly that amount of money, not more, not less, and they're not incentivized to like, now they had like a trial run and they enjoyed this or whatnot, and then they like come back as customers. That's like crazy. That's just unrealistic, and it is not right. So like the amount of like ref this lost in like air quotes, so to say, is like a number. Like if we assume it's minus 950K, the number is like greater than that, right? So it's minus 600K, maybe minus 200, maybe it's plus a million ref this, right? From like an event like that, right? And that's what companies do, right? So that's like, I think it's like people need to understand that. That's why every game, like you log in, you get like a lot of free stuff, so to say, right? You have like usually like some starter mode, some rookie mode. You play through that, and you get like a character. You get a couple characters. You get a skin. You get a deck. You get whatever, and then it slows down, right? So that is like the whole idea there. I don't want to again not too much on illuvium. I think it's just a good example of like companies spend money to acquire customers, because customers spend a lot of money in games nowadays. And especially in like crypto and Web3 games. Like if we want to look at how much money the average player has spent in illuvium Beyond, that is like far, far higher than people spend on a Web2 game.
Yeah.
Like period. Because you actually own assets, right? And that also means that the entry cost for like any Web3 game is a lot lower than for a comparable Web2 game. Like if let's say, I don't know what like the average, like I think Diablo Special Edition was what, like $100 or something. It was one of the recent games I looked at, or I know special pre-release, whatever. That's like some Diablo game, $100, easy example. You buy that, you don't like the game, you spend $100, it's gone. You spend $100 to buy a deck of cards or creatures or whatever in a Web3 game, to experience the full cycle of the game after maybe having some like trial and free part and so on. Right? Same Diablo thing until level 20 or whatever you can play for free. Yeah. The same in like a Web3 game. They're gonna have you some free experience, and then you can probably also buy stuff. You buy something for $100, or you can just sell it, and it's probably not gonna fluctuate from 100 to 0 tomorrow. So you probably lose 5% like fee via marketplace. So you paid $5 trying out the game. Like the entry cost of trying out games where you actually need not just $100 gone or $70 new Pokemon game gone, it is far, far lower in Web3. Like that's like a very customer-friendly thing. So many people, I don't know, don't realize or don't want to talk about or don't want to acknowledge. I don't know.
I guess these days, like back in the days, you could kind of resell your games as well. Like you lost probably 50%, but you could resell your CDs. But these days, all your games are tied to your account, and they're actually ownership. Like you own those games, but you cannot trade them. You cannot sell them or do anything with it. I think a lot of people don't have a big problem with it, because you just have so much information with YouTube and stuff. Like you watch a playthrough or 2 reviews, and you it's almost like you tried the game yourself, and then you can make an educated guess if you want to play the game. But that's the same thing with Web3, right? So there is no difference there. And just as soon as you want to start playing the game, you actually have a way out. Where in Web2, you're just locked into that game, and either you play it or your money is gone. Or your time spent is gone, or whatever it is.
I think that essentially ties to what you highlighted a lot earlier, where it's about like we play games usually for some entertaining, enjoyable experience, right? We want to do something with our time that we enjoy doing. That's for most people usually. That's why most people, I don't know, watch Netflix, watch TV, watch streams, do whatever, right? There's usually some fee to at least dodge advertisements connected with all of those things today. And the same with games, right? There's like some usually to enhance your experience. There's like some way to spend money, and we want to enhance our experience usually, especially if what else are we going to spend our money on as humans instead of like doing things that we enjoy doing anyways, right?
Yeah.
And the people who create those experiences probably need to be paid to some extent so they can keep creating those experiences. So yeah, it's like you just spend time in something you enjoy, having spent that time. That's why you gave them money. And the difference is to like you owning the things. Well, you then can give that to somebody else, right? So like the $100 game example, it's like, yeah, I can know that I like it, I can play it, and then maybe the next month there's another game that I want to play, and I can like get X% back, or I can give it to some other person, or it is just a more user-friendly monetization. And that is the crazy thing to me. How I mean, it is understandable that like developers and companies argue against this. It's understandable that a lot of like I don't want to say grifter influencers and so on argue against this because they probably have positive ties with those companies and the games that they are invested in, right? Like some Hearthstone streamer, like for like a Hearthstone streamer to go and like, yo, I'm going to play this different game, I'm going to support this different game. That's probably not perfect for their audience and their current way of income and their current connection with the company to invite them to promotional events, to put them in their launcher and so on and so on. So like they're obviously incentivized to not advertise other things. But fundamentally, Web3 is just more user-friendly. It is more user-friendly monetization. And it's pretty impossible to argue against that in good faith. Because we can argue against this, sure. There's like some games or some companies or whatever that aren't doing this. I can probably point to that in like Web2 as well, especially in the past. I can find a lot of bad examples. I can find a lot of like fraudulent things in games, in like or in the internet in general, right? But just like saying that fundamentally the technology and setup is more user friendly. Now, as like Blizzard and you selling your digital packs and then they can't trade it and then they lose and then they're gone and the next person has to buy everything. Sure, it's like more upside for the company. It's more control for the company. And yeah, again, influencers are certainly incentivized to side with the companies.
Yeah, makes sense. I think one of the points that has a little bit of reason to it is Ponzi schemes, and which have been dominating the Web3 at first, where just the whole tokenomics and also the economy of the game is set up to lose in the long term and really rewards early adopters, early players of the game, get in early, sell out early, and that is kind of what a lot of the bad press was evolving around Web3 games, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a bit of a two-edged argument as well, right? Because get in early to anything that involves ownership and trading is a positive thing, right?
Yeah.
Like get in early to Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, One Piece trading card game that's only a year old. Get in early and have like first edition, like booster set of those. Those are worth quite a whole lot more now, like a year after in One Piece. I think it's like 10, 15x even. And then like Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh, it's far more than 10x. I don't know what like a booster box nowadays is, but I mean, Pokemon is probably still like 20 grand. It used to be what, $100.
Yeah.
So I guess it's only 20x actually. Damn, that's an iPhone. It's like, it is crazy, right? So that argument is like, okay, it is worth more money because the whole thing is worth more money, right? The whole thing has proven to be working out and successful. It's the same as like a new business, right? You're gonna have the best returns if you invest in like a really small business, but they're also gonna have the highest chance of failure.
Yeah.
So it's like, sure, but if you want to have these high returns, then there's a high chance of failure. Now the issue is if it like goes up and then the value goes down again, right? If the business like starts well, or if the speculation on it is really, really high, and then people buy in thinking it's going to be even better in the future, and then the business didn't work out as well, right? So I guess it comes to this financial investing thing and so on, but that is also happened. Like I don't know, it's pretty easy to buy stocks nowadays. You just like make an app on your phone and you send money from your bank account, which you can access on your phone. You make a couple of clicks, $1 there, and you can buy stocks. Or you can buy, like with stocks, you can buy very risky stocks as well by small companies. Like you don't have to buy Apple and Amazon, right? So I think it's just like all of those things, and especially the financial things, are just like more accessible nowadays than 20, 30 years ago. Like I remember I read this book, like one of the books about stock market trading I read from Mark Minervini. He's talking about how he got started in his like 20s essentially. He was sitting outside of a big building with a big screen, and then every 15 minutes there would be an update on the stock price of something. And then he would take like a block and a pen and write down every single thing, and then he draws the chart later at home, basically.
Holy shit.
That's what, like 30 years ago, 35 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
That's like our parents' generation, essentially. And now I have my smartphone, and I do like a couple of clicks, and I can buy and sell whatever. Right?
You can see what happened 3 years ago. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's so. Like, if like, I don't know, like things. Also, we live like more online, anyways. Like coming back to like the gaming assets and so on. Like our lives are so tied to digital things. We spend so much time in online spaces. Like Reddit did the profile picture thing, right? Like they just didn't tell people it's NFTs, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm going to spend money on my Reddit profile picture. Of course, that's great." And I can like buy and sell those profile pictures. Great. And they just didn't tell them essentially, yeah, those are NFTs. It's like, oh shit. I was like, they were like hating on it, like, every aspect.
Now it's suddenly a scam. Fuck you, Reddit. Why you do that to us?
it's like I don't know. Like certainly we're gonna have more and more of our lives are gonna be online. More and more of our lives are gonna be like connected digitally. I know Jordan Peterson refers to people like using like a smartphone, right? Using a smartphone to type to somebody online as like a human what is like cyborg or android like combination already, because you're not only a human person, right? You use like the technical device essentially.
Yeah, so, it's like an extension of your mind, of your mouth, or whatever.
Yeah, it's just going to become more and more of that, right? Like our lives are going to be more and more in this like digital world, and they already are. So just having ownership in that, like how's that bad? Like how's that? Like that's obviously an advantage. It's obviously a positive thing.
Yeah,
especially on security. Like if something are on the blockchain and unique, you can't scam people as much anymore.
Yeah, like if you get hacked, it might be worse, but it's harder to get hacked. And after all, why would somebody hack me where I have very small bags compared to other people who are probably more vulnerable and have a lot more money? And
you can just like, I mean, if I don't know, if people just have reasonable security measures, like it's just really is not that likely to happen, right? Like every time I've seen somebody that I like remotely know be like, yo, I got hacked or I lost this, it's like, yeah, they just clicked like a scam link.
Or download it.
Yeah, but it's like, first of all, why do you, like, if those digital things that you have are worth so much money, right? If you have like something that's worth like 5 figures or more, why not buy like a $100 laptop and like a hardware wallet? Like you use a different device and you use a hardware wallet. Like what's going to happen to you? Like somebody's going to break in and steal it. Okay, that's the most likely issue to happen at that point. That can happen to everything that I own, like in theory, right? So it's like sure that it's a real threat, it's a real argument, but
I think people are just a little bit more scared because it's tied to money. And even though it's a good thing, it's just like I wanted to come back on the Ponzi thing, because when you see a nice game, for example, on Twitter, you see a nice Web3 game and you want to jump into it and you like the game, you want to put some money into it. There is really not a guarantee that this game wasn't set up from the beginning to kind of rug pull after a few months or whatever it is. So that's what, when I put my mind in somebody who wants to try Web3 games, it's just this uncertainty. And I would have to do so much research to really trust in that project. And that's why I'm so deeply involved in Illuvium. First of all, I love the games, and the genre of the games is just what I want. And also because I've been there for 2-3 years, and I have 100% trust in the team. But if you come into Web3 and if you want to check out a new project, it might be very intimidating to really realize if they are a real deal, if they are there for the long run, if they want to build good games and not just make money or whatever it is.
No, like certainly. I was watching the Equinox stream today. Like somebody I know from hearthstone times, he's like playing Parallel, right? And he was saying like 8 months ago he got into Parallel, and these for avatar NFTs, for example, were like 0.07 ETH. I think they're like 1 ETH on average now. And I know somebody, like, people told me about Parallel, like, probably not 8 months, but maybe 6 or so months before as well. And I was like, I don't know about that game, and I'm not sure. Like, the exactly same things that you described there. I was like, I don't know about this. If I looked into this, that probably would have been very, very financially beneficial for me, especially after I just like play a little bit and I realize it's an okay game. Like, it is in a beta state and everything. Sure, I have like caveats with it, but it's a fundamentally solid game. Like, I would, if I would have played a game like 6 months ago, before like a lot of the prices are far higher now, right? I would have put like decent amount of money into this and would have been far, far more, because I would have just like picked a game that actually did well, right?
Yeah.
Now, that is not 100% given. On the same way, that's like, oh, this is like a game in a beta. It's like a startup level company. I mean, maybe they rug pull, sure. Maybe things don't go well. Risks, right? But the same thing with at the moment you're putting money into. I mean, if it's a game that you just like playing, if it's a fine game and you put like some money into that game, I've done that with like so many games, and I probably spend more money on games than most other people. I get that part as well. You don't have to spend as much money as I do, right? I can spend a little bit. I mean, it's my job. I can tax deduct it, so that's fine. No, but outside of that, like, it's just like, I don't know. Like, if it's a game that you enjoy playing, you don't have to see it from the financial thing. And if you see it from the financial thing, then like see it from investing in like a startup-ish company or a small company, right? Then we look at Illuvium. I mean, Illuvium is one of, if not the biggest gaming studio project crypto thing, like by market cap essentially. So like, you can look at that. It's like, yeah, that Illuvium, that looks like, it's really hard to argue that does not look trustworthy.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
It's like, it's so hard to do that. And you can do the same with like a lot of other things and be like, okay, just sort them. Okay, this looks like a super trustworthy game. They have like developed stuff for 2 years. They actually show me what they have developed. It does not make sense for them to like rug pull this to some extent, because like, how would they even like do that and so on? And then you have like the meme coin stuff, as somebody is like, yo, I'm going to make a pre-sale. Here's the address, 24 hours, send me money. There's like some guy that I follow on Twitter, like some like meme shit post crypto Twitter account, just like rugs. I mean, it rugs people for like 100 SOL or like 10K or something. It's like, okay, 10K, who cares? Okay, not saying 10K is like a relevant sum of money, but like on crypto Twitter terms, right? Like, it is a relatively low amount of money to rug pull people. Essentially, it's just like gone for a week, appears again. Like, barely anybody cares, right? I didn't lose money on that though. I was smart.
Yeah, I want to summarize what you said.
The difference, yep.
Because it kind of alleviated my concerns. Because Web3 is evolving, and right now we have those big names in the game. For example, Illuvium or some other ones, and where they have been in development for years. They have 100,000, tens of thousands followers. They have proven concept. You don't need to research long to actually confirm they are not a shady business. And then also the other point of the development of Web3 games, we always have this free-to-play aspect now. I hope that everybody goes into in a similar direction as Parallel, where you can try the full game free, and then you can opt into your NFT experience if you want to do that. And then you can just play the game, and once you play the game for enjoyment. And if you don't want to play the game for enjoyment anymore, if you want to play it for ownership, for actually getting something out of it, well, then you have to do a little bit of research, and actually it's not going to be too hard to actually find out. Just don't make any split decisions. It's like, oh, this looks good. I have to put all my life savings in this. This is now.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Like, this is the problems, that people are very explosive with their decision making sometimes.
People are also very greedy, essentially. Like, they just put too much and then they don't take profits or whatever.
Or they see somebody else succeed and then they want to do the same and just rush into something.
Yeah, and Parallel is an interesting thing, right? Because I was gonna say the thing with Parallel has, especially because you can just like make multiple accounts, right? You can just like play through the rookie games and then like farm your battle pass and whatever. So you can pretty much access the entire game if you want to spend time, especially on multiple accounts. Like, you're gonna have like entire collection pretty quickly if you just, again, want to spend time on it. I wonder, like, because Peril, they are not only doing that card game, right? They have like other games, other games coming. They have like this AI MMO thing and so on. So I would wonder if that would be the standalone game. I would worry a lot on, is this monetizable at all, or is it not monetizable at all? Is it like sustainable or not? I would really worry about that, because one of the things I see in Hearthstone, for example, or over the last few years, they have started to give more and more things essentially for, like, air quotes, free to players. Like, the game has, I guess, getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper over the years, and they, like, which people always, you hear this like loud voices of like, the game has to be as cheap as possible, and then you're gonna make more money because it's so cheap, then everybody is gonna play it. That did not work out for Hearthstone. They just make, I don't know, I think the revenue number last year was like in the low 2 to low 8 figures. It used to be like mid 9 figures.
If you make it 10 times cheaper, it doesn't mean you get 10 times more players.
Yeah, like they're just down. Okay, there's like a lot of other stuff coming in the Hearthstone example, right? Like bad PR for Blizzard from, I guess the Blitzchung freedom of speech thing was bad. Then California sues them. Microsoft buyout. Warcraft 3 Reforged failed. A bunch of things. Like, people were not too happy about Diablo Immortal, which I think Diablo Immortal was like even a good thing for them. They just like screwed up marketing so hard on that. Or they presented that like so. The Diablo Immortal thing, if you like look at the way that they presented that on BlizzCon, that made me question again, like, what are these like morons there essentially, like on the marketing side? Yeah. Because they essentially, what were the answers? People were expecting like a new PC Diablo game, and they were like all hyped for that. And then they say, yeah, we have this mobile game for you. And then people are unhappy, and the answer is like, do you not have a phone? Be happy with what we give you. Like, how can you be so stupid? Like, I don't know.
It sounds like the craziest echo bubble where they just don't realize how stupid some takes are.
Like they just like don't necessarily launch Diablo Immortal on BlizzCon or whatever, because most of the money they make in Asia anyways, and they like, who cares on BlizzCon, right? It was a good game. They made a lot of money on it. Diablo Immortal was a successful game, but like marketing PR-wise, they just did it so horrible. And yeah, I don't know. That's like these like failures and disconnects on the thing. I forgot what I initially was talking about.
I think you wanted to come to Parallel if it's really sustainable in the long run.
I was like, Hearthstone is like, Hearthstone's revenue has been going down, right? And then they made Battlegrounds, for example, and Battlegrounds is like a very, very hard to monetize game the way that they had set it up. And I think like a failure with Battlegrounds was they didn't realize that, and at first they had like the battle pass for free. You could just like get all the hero choices for free. Then later they made that like, you have to buy the battle pass, or you have like a competitive disadvantage essentially playing the game. Yeah. And people were mad at that. It could have just been from the beginning, and then people would probably be less mad, but then also less people try it out, and maybe they lose customers to the competitors like TFT. So it's like hard, especially for them, because these competitors like TFT, they just like had this game, and Riot didn't need to monetize TFT a whole lot, right? They just wanted to like keep or maintain players, because they probably make more money on League of Legends anyways. Yeah, I don't know how well TFT does in revenue actually, but they sell like $200 cosmetics and people buy them, so it's probably doing okay.
Yeah, they just have the player base to sustain it, just with those small microtransactions and stuff like that.
It's a better game as well, to be fair.
Yeah, what shocked me equally in Diablo as did it in Parallel is that people told me like to have like the best deck or the best whatever it is in Diablo, the best character equipment and whatever, it's like 15K, 10K. It's like, what do you mean? I want to play a game. I don't want to invest $15,000 into the game. I can see more use case for that in Parallel, where the more you invest, the more you're actually going to be earning. Again, you only have to do that if you want to go into the play to earn aspect of it. But then you still have to be a good player too, which I like. It's not just, here, take my time and give me $10 back. It's more, hey, here, take my time. I'm a good player. Give me $100.
Yeah, it's just like a different monetization model, right? Like, it's usually voices from like Western world, like Europe especially, where it's this take of like, pay to win is bad, right? Like, if I watch like the average advertisement on like a new car in Germany, right? I live in Germany. It's something like the car is like cheap and very, very, what you get is very, very good for the price, and the price is pretty low. That's the message that they give, right? Then I'm in the US and I'm sitting in my hotel room watching some TV. The advertisement for the car is like, this is the best car ever that you can buy. They don't care.
The biggest, the strongest, the fastest.
Yeah. it's just like some cool TV spot highlighting how cool this car is and what you're gonna get if you buy it and so on. They don't make it about the price efficiency or whatnot. It's just a different mentality and culture. And it's the same thing in games where Genshin Impact, when it came out, a really great example for that, right? They made a couple of hundred. Well, what was the initial number? They made like 200 million the first month or something. Like very quickly, they made a lot of money, and the biggest most revenue came from China. Second was Japan. Third, USA, for example. And China was like in the high 20s, Japan low 20s, USA like 18% of total revenue or something like that. And then Germany, for example, 3%. Germany is like on the GDP wise, right? It's richer than Japan. Is it actually? I actually don't know. But it's like similar to Japan. I always mix those two up. So similar like purchasing power, but they spent like 70-80% less on a game like this, on a monetization of the game like this, right? It's essentially, obviously, okay, it's like this anime gacha kind of game. It's maybe a bit of a different gaming culture kind of aspect that can come into it, sure. But you're going to find a whole lot less people in like Western world countries that are like, yo, I need this new character, and paying $100-200 for that new character from this event is fine. And next month I'm going to do the same, or like in 3 months, the next character that I like. And you're also going to have a whole lot less people that are like, yeah, I just want to have like the strongest characters in this single player game just for fun because I like playing the game. Here I have like thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars. That's just more of the customer behavior that you have, like, I guess, like rich business people in like other countries do than in Europe, especially. Europe is this like very low price efficiency and so on oriented thing. And yeah, like a lot of people have to realize that is like your local or your national mentality kind of thing. It's not the entire world thinking like that.
All right, we are approaching the end of the podcast. I think we want to cap it at 1:30. So our last topic is going to be a fun one. It's also serious, but in this case, it was kind of fun. It's a little bit of both, and it's about Destroyer 2009. He made some big waves with his hack on the Apex community, on the competitive scene. And that was quite enjoyable to watch as an outsider, I must say. Let's have a look at the clip, and then we're going to talk about it.
Destroyer 2009 has become one of the most infamous hackers in recent video game history, generating eyes from all over the world and even hitting top news organizations such as Forbes, Yahoo, and the BBC. On Sunday, March 17th, Destroyer 2009 hacked pro players Gen Burton and Imperial Hal live during ALGS regional finals to give them aimbot, resulting in Respawn postponing the tourney. Since that moment, everyone has been wondering why he did it, and we finally have an answer directly from Destroyer 2009 himself on his reasonings for hacking Apex Legends. Let's dive right into this, and if you enjoy the content, consider leaving a like down below as it helps me out more than you know. In an article by TechCrunch, Destroyer took time to answer the writer's questions, and his answers will surprise you. At this moment, Destroyer has declined to explain how he hacked the players' games, but he did say, "I really don't want to go into the details until everything is fully patched and everything goes back to normal." Regarding the technique he used was that the vulnerability has nothing to do with the server, and I've never touched anything outside of the Apex process, and that he did not hack the two players' computers directly. He also confirms that the hacks never went outside of the game, so to me, this definitely means something within Apex Legends itself, possibly something within the private lobbies allow Destroyer to get in. Destroyer goes on to say that he did not report the vulnerability to Respawn because neither the company nor the publisher EA offer a bug bounty program that financially rewards hackers and researchers for privately reporting security flaws. He says they know how to patch it without anyone reporting it to them. Destroyer continues by saying he went viral because of the hack and that many people would not have used an exploit like this one in an absolutely innocent way. He says, "Just imagine if it wasn't a joke and we didn't put any memes in the chat. I'm pretty sure you can ruin someone's career if they had a cheat pop up on a tournament." With the on-screen menu that showed up in game, Destroyer says that the window is part of a real cheat software, but not one that is public, and that the menu was slightly modified for the hacks on Sunday, which was probably the Vote Putin box being added in. When asked why he hacked Gen Burton and Imperial Hal, he said, "Because they're just nice guys. This is free attention and views for them." Respawn released an official statement regarding the attack, saying on Sunday, a few professional Apex Legends player accounts were hacked during an ALGS event. Game and player security are our highest priorities, which is why we paused the competition to address the issue immediately. Our teams have deployed the first of a layered series of updates to protect the Apex Legends player community and create a secure experience for everyone. They conclude the post by thanking us all for our patience. Connor Ford, also known as Hideouts, who is on the security team for Apex, goes on to say, "The team on this are some of the most talented I've ever had the pleasure of working with. All I can say is the care and love shown from parties involved makes me thankful for the coworkers and devs on this game. At this time, we still don't know if it is 100% safe to play Apex, and Respawn nor EA have confirmed this. However, Destroyer 2009 says that players shouldn't worry about it because he doubts others will figure out what vulnerability he used and how to exploit it before it gets patched. This is a pretty crazy story though, so let me know what you guys think.
There's a lot to unpack there. That's crazy. This happened last month. So it didn't happen very recently, but I think it's still a very recent topic to talk about. I think it's crazy. First of all, it's crazy that Apex and EA and everything don't give rewards, bounty system for the hacker and just hire him. Like, he's obviously the guy who knows the most about the security issues. Just give him some money and get him on the team.
I mean, you probably, I don't know if people like that would accept like a position working there, right? But yeah, I don't know
Or just
why
give him money to share his insights.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would just be reasonable. But on the other side, maybe their take on it is like, well, it's useless expenses because the people we have working there would be able to figure that out anyways. So I don't know. Like he in the video said as well, right? By Destroyer's accounts, like they know how to fix it. So it's like, okay, like there's somebody working there at the company that's like, okay, this is your job now. Like go figure it out. So I think, sure, it would probably be a universally beneficial thing to be like, yeah, if you like figure out how to hack our things to like this extent, we give you some money if you tell us how to do it so we can quicker fix it. But that would make sense in my opinion. Maybe there's like some, again, corporate side of things that is like, yeah, we shouldn't do this. I don't know. I also don't know what like the going rate would be, how much you would like go pay the hacker for like telling you. Like maybe it's like a high sum.
We have something similar. Did you know in Illuvium? Like, if you find bugs in like the smart contracts and all of that stuff, you get money.
I think it's a really smart thing to do.
Yeah,
especially in like blockchain and Web3 gaming. Like it just essentially makes it more lucrative. Or I guess it doesn't make it more lucrative, but it makes it more sustainable for people who are really good at things like that to just make money in a legit way, especially because we're talking about crypto and Web3, right? Because there's a good chance that eventually somebody will like, find you and track you down, right? It's a public ledger. Like you can do a lot of precautions and whatnot, but it's still, I don't know. Like if you do illegal stuff, right, there's always the issue of like, what if somebody at some point finds it out, if somebody talks, if, I don't know, right? Like I would always be afraid of that. I would just be like, okay, I'm just reporting this and give me like my okay paycheck and it's fine.
Yeah.
That might take
peace of mind is worth a lot. It just sounded like, yeah, when you do illegal stuff, it's like that. It sounded like a guide to hacking.
I mean, obviously, like if like, I don't know, like you can either choose like just like scam people and do the illegal shit, right? Or you can like do the real time. But I don't know, maybe if you go legit, you also make more money, right? Like maybe somebody's just gonna hire you for like a pretty high up position.
Yeah.
And so on. So it's
I think it's a really cool thing that he did here. He showed the vulnerables of the Apex game, of the, I don't know, launcher or whatever it was that he hacked into, and he did a fun little meme. He let everybody know this is a hack and just trolled them on a tournament. I think that's
yeah.
I don't think there is much harm done there.
I mean, it probably costs like the company money and so on, but I guess it also points out a big security flaw on their side. So
yeah, it could have gone way worse for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is something where you could legit, like you said, right? You if you don't do this in like an obvious way, you could just destroy somebody's career, right? Yeah. Like they would never get rid of that like cheating accusation thing, essentially. So like there were like some clips where it's like, this is Destroyer, the Endure hacked now, and just like audio in the game happening and so on, right? That makes it funny. I think like I see this, I don't know much about Apex or like the tournaments and so on. Like the whole thing was really, really funny for me to follow. And I guess for me, it's also funny to follow because it's like, this guy's a crazy hacker. This guy's a super, super talented, smart person. And he didn't do something malicious with it. I respect that a lot.
Yeah, me too. Here we have a clip from in-game when it happened.
Gets client hacked. Oh, I saw this. There's like a
it's
tournament.
Just 40 seconds.
This guy got hacked, and they put like.
I don't know why it's Asmongold reacting to it, but.
Wait, what the fuck? I'm getting hacked. Bro, I'm getting hacked.
I know, but can you play?
Yeah, but it's cheating.
You can see like it shows like the characters, every other player.
For the people that missed it, this was the exact moment hackers hooked on the player's client and engaged wall hack. Another player in the same Apex tournament was also hacked, and in this case, hackers engaged aimbot.
Yeah, shoot now. I'm cheating. Check, I have aimbot.
Yes, I can see everyone. Like I'm.
Caught? No. They figured out what it was. The guy wasn't trying to cheat. That's really bad.
I don't know. That's so funny to me. I'm cheating.
I like the vote Putin box at the end there. Makes it an obvious troll.
Yeah. No big harm done. Cool thing. Respect to the hacker for keeping it fun and really doing it for the sport, not for any malicious or.
Yeah, I mean, eventually at some point, if they never fix it, right, eventually somebody might actually figure it out and just destroy somebody's career over it. So I think that's definitely reasonable.
It's always that phenomenon. It seems impossible until one person does it, and suddenly there is 10 people behind him popping out because they've seen him do it, so now they know it's possible, and they can all of a sudden do it. Like you see that in sports a lot, where nobody thought you could do whatever it is, double backflip on snowboard, and then one person does it. After 10 years not doing it, one person does it, and the next day 3 other people do it because they've seen how. Like I think that's applicable to this too. It's like people are gonna, if they want to really try to replicate that, I think it's gonna be easier now that they've seen somebody do it.
Yeah, I mean the sports example, right, was the famous one about running a mile in 4 minutes or so, and then everybody thought it's impossible, and then like one guy did it, and then like very like shortly after that, multiple more guys did it, just because now like the mental barrier is like gone. Now it's possible. I mean, I guess like the mental barrier on sports and like the hacking thing is probably more like just figure out how he did it, like invest more time into figuring it out.
But also I think the reassurance to know it's possible, like you're not digging around and maybe you get lucky, you know there is gold down there, you just gotta find it. That helps a lot, I think.
Yeah.
So I hope they fix it. I think they've been really slow on that, but then again, the corporate structure, EA and everything, there's a lot of stuff in the way for like quick solutions.
Yeah, I mean, you never know like how hard it is to fix it as well, I guess. Like maybe it just impacts a lot of other stuff then. I guess when people, it's like a bit like cringe, I guess, to me sometimes when I read people say like, "Oh, just like change this one like line of code." I mean, I don't know. It probably is more than one line of code, and it might impact some other stuff as well in like a lot of video games. Like I'm not, I have basic programming knowledge and things like that, but yeah, I think we oftentimes assume things are easier than they actually are on that side.
Yeah, and they people think that it's very linear. It's like, oh, you just go down till that code, you delete it, and that's good. If it was that easy, they would do it. They're not freaking idiots. Like, if there is an easy solution to it, the developers probably would just do that one. It's not like, oh, we didn't think about just changing that one line. Thanks for letting me know. Like, I see that a lot in the Illuvium community, right? When people are, because we're invested in the game, most of the players, they're very closely attached to the game because we have a constant beta access. It's not like a beta weekend or something. We have been in the beta for months. So everybody has a lot of they're really attached to the game and they're like, it's so easy. Just feed the baby some milk. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like in the Illuvium example, right? Like even if it would be like a minor change, right? You still have to like go through the process of then like testing it and making sure everything is fine and works, and making then like deploying it and so on, right? It's still like work time taken away from something else. Like it's not even if it's like one person taking a day or two, that's like it's still like a day or two off, and then if it's not only a one-time thing, if it's not only a one-time thing, right? Because I mean, on this, like we could like talk about the Illuvium balance and so on forever, right?
We do that in the next one.
Yeah, or like, it's like there's one thing you don't like, okay, then the next day there's another and another and another and another, and suddenly it's not like one thing or one change, and that's why I think like on this like I guess like pro gaming take on that is it is really cringe to assume you make only this one change and then everything is going to be perfect. Like that is very, very rare to actually be the reality. And even in games that had millions of players that were very, very invested in figuring out the best thing in the game, it sometimes took them days or weeks to figure out optimal new stuff. And we're talking about millions of people, not beta testing hundreds of thousands of people, right? So that is like one thing, and then there's like one change happening, and then it takes like a while again to figure something out, and then there's like a new issue and a new issue and a new issue, or there's an issue solution, and so on. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's you can never make everybody happy, and the people who say like just make this one change, it's like the silver player mindset, like unironically.
Yeah, and you never realize how much other things might pop up, or it changes everything if you change one line of code, even if it's just that. But I gotta say, respect to the Illuvium community, because now we have been sitting on a stale meta for a while. We have been sitting on the same patch for a while. Everybody is obviously excited for any hotfix, any balance patch or anything, but I haven't seen much complaint yet. Everybody kind of realizes we're in a beta. User quality of life for the beta testers is not the priority, and we just gotta wait till it comes out. And I think that's really nice to see right now, that not people are going crazy, and learn a little bit of patience.
Yeah, I think pausing rewards help for that, because people don't feel forced to play anymore, basically. If people would feel forced to play, they would complain a whole lot more about this. That was like my... I think I could have, I don't know, my downside take on rewards. I think having rewards in hindsight, after like the first week, the first major bug fixes would have been good. But then after having these like major patches that made major changes to the game, obviously like without balance, like if you make like a major new update to the game, you cannot also make the major update and balance it and then ship it out. Like this middle part is just cut short because beta testing purpose, which is just reasonable. But then if you force people to play in this like rather untested thing, unbalanced thing, then more than it was previously, then I mean, if they have to play, then it like feels worse, essentially.
Yeah, in the end, I think they should have done just like participation rewards and not like leaderboard rewards and keep them going over different balance patches, which just was very easily abusable and all of that stuff. Also the win trading and stuff like that. So I think it would have been a good way maybe to just give people a share of the prize pool if they participate in playing the game, which is basically because a bronze player doesn't have less value to the, or maybe not much less value than a platinum player to the game testing. So I think it would also been, well, not as much as 0.1 LB compared to 5 LB. Like the top one player doesn't have 10,000 more value to the game testing.
Actually, I do think the top one player has. I think I have more value than
2-3 times, but not 1,000 times.
No, I think 1,000 times actually. I mean, okay.
I don't know.
The serious take to that is though, people who are really bad, they would never fundamentally understand how. It's like very fundamental issues with like blind positioning. There's like some very fundamental issues in the game, and if you're like not at the skill ceiling of the game, if you're not a skill cap of the game, you don't understand that. So like those players, they won't ever figure that out because they win or lose based on other things happening. They don't win or lose based on perfect plays happening.
But top players are testing for competitive settings, for example. But bronze players are testing the environment for bronze players. And there's going to be, if you have 100,000 players, there's going to be always a big share of low-rated players as well. So I think their testing is still valuable.
Yeah, obviously it's valuable. But it's like, again, this like yes or no aspect to it, right? Because if a game is out in the same way, then more and more players reach that skill ceiling if that skill ceiling is really low. And more players reaching a skill ceiling that's not really perfect, right? It's like we look at Call of Duty and aiming in Call of Duty, right? Aiming in Call of Duty is a really low skill ceiling because there's crazy aim assist, crazy rotational aim assist in the game. So if you're a controller player and you understand how to use rotational aim assist, you're like at the skill ceiling of aiming in the game. And you're like a, I don't know, plat or diamond player playing ranked, you probably have like almost the same aim capabilities as on close quarters than somebody who's playing on keyboard and mouse and who's like a 0.0001% skill player in the entire world. So the skill ceiling on aiming is really low, and the longer the game goes with that, like in the game, right? Like with the same aim assist in the game, the more players reach that skill ceiling, and more players reaching the skill ceiling, I don't think that is necessarily a good thing. That is like one of the things that I worried about in Illuvium, where I think too many people reach that skill ceiling even after like a little bit of beta testing. Like I think the skill ceiling
I've reached that ceiling
at the moment.
And it took so much motivation from me once I reached the whatever ceiling there was. Like once I was like, all right, now I know everything about the game. My opponents know everything about the game, and we're just flipping coins. It felt really disencouraging to keep playing.
Yeah, like there's that is like the annoying thing. Like if there's either like things happening in the game that aren't in your control, or if you're both at the same skill level, right? Then like obviously a game is just a coin flip. If you're both at the same skill, what else would it be, right? But if there's somebody that is slightly better than the other person, like should it be a 51 to 49, or should it be like a 60 to 40 if there's a slight difference, right? And I think in like the current fundamental setup that I think the first iteration of illuvium was better with like the augments more powerful and so on. But then there's other issues with that, and it's like harder to get into. It's like the Yu-Gi-Oh issue where getting into the game is incredibly hard, but it takes you like probably weeks. Like it's really, really hard to get into the game, and most people won't go through that, so that's a bad thing. But once you are into the game, it would have like a really high skill ceiling and really enjoyable to play. I don't know if that would have been the case if we stick to like multiple augments and augments being really powerful and so on. I don't know. Like we can't really know because we changed a lot of stuff, right? But that would like a game is not easy to get into. Probably not perfect. Like you want to have easy to get into and high skill ceiling at some point. So I don't know. I hope we have that in the future. I do believe that we will have that in the future. Right? It's like a beta. I can obviously adjust a whole lot more. So no, I think I'm optimistic on that, basically.
Yeah. And we're going to see how it turns out. And I guess leaderboard rewards are going to come back once the game is in a competitive state again. And that's a good point to bring it back. And yeah, I think we're going to... We touched on the subjects we wanted to touch. We touched on the topics we wanted to talk about.
The rewards.
Yeah. All right.
No, I think I wanted to mention this earlier. I know there's like so much to all of these topics. Like all of them could be like 2-hour talks alone. But
yeah,
I think like it's reasonable to say leaderboard rewards. Like you could have been more flattened out. I think that would have been. But all of this is like in hindsight, right? There's a lot of hindsight thing, but that's good. Like you learn a lot from like doing this, and then you can adjust in the future. I think it would make a lot of like the like 9, 6, 4, and then like first, second, third, and then 2 1.6 for like 10, top 10, top 25, top 50. Like that could have been flattened out more. I think like you could have just given top 10 like 1 to 10 the same number. I think that would have been super reasonable to do, or would have been bad for me because the 5 weeks that I played, I was top 3 every week. But no, I think that would have been very, very reasonable to do. Just like flatten it out more. And yeah, I think that that's like my take on it, especially after competing in it as well. Like I would be okay taking less if it is also just less stressful and less like forces me to like play and so on.
Yeah, that's fair. We're going to see how they come back with it. Hopefully they're going to listen to all the community feedback. The community has been very vocal about all their opinions and things. So that's a good part of being so closely attached, the dev team with the community, that is. And we're going to see how it works out. All right, we are at the end of the podcast. Let us know in the comments or whatever platform you choose. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Discord, on YouTube, on Twitch. We're streaming. You find all the links down below. So let us know if you enjoyed this, what you want to have next time. And also in the future, maybe we're going to have guests on. We have a few guests lined up already, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be fun.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I think there's a lot to talk about, a lot of topics we could go far deeper in. You guys know how much I love talking. That's why I like streaming and so on. So yeah, just let me know what you guys want to know more about. I'm always happy to talk.
All right, see you next week. Peace.